Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Good evening, my friends. This is Angy Stewart from Mia Inner Light, and we are live on Kardec Radio. Today is Thursday. It is 9:02 p.m. Eastern Time. Super happy to be here. We only have our program once a month, so it's very important that we can keep this program live, reminding our friends to join us, especially if you are from Mia Inner Light. So you can join us from anywhere online. You can just put your questions, your answers, your comments, understanding that I cannot see you, I just see numbers, because we are live on YouTube, but also on Facebook. I'm using a platform that I do not see your name. So if you want me to know who you are, just write a message so I can see your names, okay? So just starting, we studied this beautiful book here, The Heaven and Hell. We finished the first portion of the book. There is all the philosophical ideas from the past and also applicable nowadays in relation to spirituality, focusing in Spiritism by Allan Kardec. Today, we are starting the second part of the book. Let me show you. You see here? What? You see here? We finished half. Now we're going to have the other half. The other half of the book is the practical part of the book. And what does it mean? It means that we are talking about the spirits, that incarnated people that died and they come back to talk how is their life in the other side. And then there is even a joke that says, oh, nobody ever returned from the dead to tell us how is life in the other side. So now you just hear, now they come back a lot. What happened is that we are all afraid to talk about spirits, especially in America. We just had Halloween. So when someone talk about spirits, immediately they connect with something evil, something horrible. They don't understand that me and you will die, and we are going to wake up in the other side. And just because we die, we are not going to become evil spirits. We are going to become exactly what we are. So Angy will be Angy, you will be you. And it does not make us evil spirits, but it also does not make us angels. Just my name, Angela. But we are not going to transform. We are just going to cross over. We are going to cross from the incarnated physical plane to the discarnated spiritual realm. This is just the difference. Hello, Sonia. Nice to see you. Happy that you are here with us. So this is what we are going to be discussing. How is the arrival in the other side? It's a lot of people have curiosity about it because, most of the people have no idea how it is. In Spiritism, we understand the important thing is how you live your life. So if you live your life doing good, being a good person, trying to be honest, trying to be charitable, doing to the others what you would like to happen to you, it means that when you wake up, you will wake up in a relatively good position. But these other people that they live taking advantage of others, stealing money, or even doing things much, much worse than that, when they wake up in the other side, they will face difficult situations. So this is what throughout the next months we will be going through. Tonight, specifically tonight, we are studying the first chapter or the second part of the book. It's called The Passage. So the passage is about this, is about the process of crossing over. How we are going to cross over. Is it painful? Is it quick? How does it work? Are we connected to the body? What is that? So many items we are going to try to summarize so you can understand a little bit about it. So very good. Hello, Yvonne. Nice to see you. I miss you. We miss you in Mia in the Light. Fast photo. I think the fast photo is River. Hi, River. Nice to have you here with us. Very, very good. So before I invite our guests for tonight, let's do a quick prayer. I hope you have your water bottle because it will be your medication for tonight. The enlightened spirits can bless your water and you can use your water as your medication for the week. If you only meet us once a month, then you have to, every time your water is finishing, you need to put more water. Don't let it finish. Let it stay like a little bit. Then you put more water and then you do a prayer and you ask the enlightened spirits to bless your water again and treat that water as a medication. Then treat that water as really a special bottle. Don't just drink it. When you are drinking, think, this water is doing a cleansing of my body, removing any type of toxins and replenishing with positive energy, positive vibrations, with good, healthy cells. Very good. So let's close our eyes for 1 second, few minutes, few seconds, and let's do the prayer. God, our Mother and Father, thank you again for bringing all us together to talk about important subjects. We ask the good spirits that protect and near in the light, our guardian angels, to all come close to us, inspiring us all, the ones that will be talking, and also our friends that are listening and that will be participating with comments or questions. Please stay with us now and always. So be it. Very good. So let's go. Let's invite Julio. Hey, Julio. Nice to have you.
Hi. Thank you, Angie. I'm happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here with us. So Julio already participated a few other times. He is here from Miami. He is active in Mia in the Light. So super happy to have you here helping us again.
Thank you.
Let me bring now Juan. Hey, Juan. Nice to have you here.
Hi, Angie.
So Juan, the same thing. He is from Mia in the Light. He already participated with us. And he also lives in Miami. So super cool. We are all local people online spreading these beautiful teachings to anyone that has internet connection. Isn't that fantastic? I love the possibility to be able to spread this to any country, not just local in one Spiritist center. So I spoke so much today. Look, it's already 9:10. I was talking. So if you are watching this and if you just arrived, if you would like us to read your comments, read your questions, please just write something. If you're on Facebook or on YouTube, just write something so we will be able to see your name and read your comments or questions. Okay? So again, this is the book that we will be studying. It's called Heaven and Hell. Last week, we finalized the first part of the book, was all the doctrinal studies, all the philosophical items. So it was like more very serious in a sense that some people say, oh, it's boring. So now we are starting the second part that's much more exciting because it will bring the practical examples. But today, we are starting it. So today we are trying to understand how is the crossing over? How is this passage? how we transition from living to the living in spirit, not having a physical body. So, as I always do, I read a little bit from the chapter, and then I open up to my friends to start commenting, and we will finalize the chapter today. So it's really a big summary because it's long, and if you can, I encourage any of you to buy the book or to download the PDF so you can actually read in details. So, okay, let's go. So, the passage, chapter 1, part 2. Confidence is the reality of a future life, does not exclude apprehension in regards to the passage from this present life to the other one. Many persons do not dread death in itself. What they dread is the instant of transition. Do we or do we not suffer in the crossing of the boundary? This is the query that disturbs his or her equanimity, and which is all the more worthy consideration because it refers to something from which no one among us can possibly escape. We may decline to take a journey upon the earth, but the journey we are contemplating is one that must be taken alike by rich and poor. And if it were a painful one, neither rank nor fortune can do away with its painfulness. Painfulness. So it's just an introduction to let us know what we already know, because we all know that there is no escape from death. This is actually the only certainty in life, is that we all will die. We don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or in 10 years. We don't know when it's going to be, but we are all going to cross over. And the beauty of mediumship is to understand that we don't disappear. We may be disappearing physically because the majority of the people cannot see what's going on in the spiritual realm. But the mediums, these people who have this quality to be able to see, to hear, to sense, they help us. That's what we are going to be talking about tonight. We are going to be talking about the mediums who helped us to understand the passage. And another thing, this Sunday at 5:30 p.m., we are going to all watch this beautiful movie that's passing in the movie theaters right now. And it is, what's the name of the movie, Julio? Do you remember? Oh, don't I even have it here? Because After Death.
Yes.
After Death is a documentary that's in the movie theaters right now near your home. And I'm going with a lot of friends from here in INNERLIGHT. We're going to watch it. And this documentary talks about the near-death experience, amongst many other things. And the passage is pretty much connected to it, because how is going to be our impression in the moment that we are dying. So let's open up to you both to start talking about it. And it's open up to all of you online. I see we have a lot of people online. So if you want to make a comment, if you want to make a question, please feel free to write it. So, my friends, how can we start talking about the passage?
Can I start? I don't know.
Sure, go ahead.
Yes.
I'll go first.
We follow.
No, it's just interesting because this passage is something, not just the passage, birth and death are experience that we experienced many times, but we just don't remember. Even our birth in this life, we don't remember. And when we know that we are going to something that for us is unknown, we feel a little anxious or we feel afraid. But even knowing that we don't remember our previous deaths, by lucky, we have many spirits that came and told us how the passage is. This is something that we will see in this second part of this book, and is my favorite part of this book. And that's it. Now is just the first chapter of this second part, and will be interesting.
Very good. Very good. Juan, do you want to start with something else?
Well, first of all, I have to confess that I was very pleased with the assignment you gave me. Was the content of this chapter. It's obvious that I'm sort of at the end of my life cycle. And for a while, I've been thinking about it. And one of the things that I've done is I volunteered with hospices. And for many years now, I've been going to these places. Hospices, for those who don't know, are places where people are admitted if they have 6 months or less to live. So when you go into a hospice situation, you are with people that have very little. And so by being with these places and taking care of people that were in those situations, I have to tell you, I learned a lot. And not only the physical aspect of the person preparing himself for death. I met people that were Jewish, people that claimed to have no religion, people that were Catholics and other religions as well. And there was one common denominator: fear. They all feared death. They didn't know they would go, and but it was really interesting to see that there's this apprehension with what is going to happen when the moment comes. And the observation I made by going to several places, like I said, not just one, is that those that are to the moment when they're going to sometimes begin to see their dead relatives. I had a couple of people that when I walked in on them, they would say, sit down there, be quiet for a few minutes. I'm talking to my sister, and if this happened to me, I thought the person was, but then I was that she actually was seeing her sister. Not, she wasn't talking, she was just communicating with her mind. And like that person, I met very many other patients that claimed to be talking to their deceased fathers or their brothers or somebody that was dear in their lives. So I think that human beings are really very attuned to the fact that that's inevitable. It is going to happen, and hell, I'm going to handle it. And so this chapter is really very important because it talks about how can we best be prepared to make that in a nice way. And us spiritists have an advantage that other religion and science don't really have, because of the fact that we understand what is going to happen, and we have spirits that and tell us how this is going to happen. Other religions don't have this privilege. In fact, they just when you talk about communicating with spirits. So we in the Spiritism, we have that advantage. Not only do we have the teachings of Spiritism, but we have people that have already made that transition come back and tell us what it's like. So I think that an advantage over other folks that are not familiar with the Spiritism. And this chapter, I'm sure that Julio will say more about this, talks about that. The inevitability of death, how we're all going to have to face it, and how we can be prepared for it. There are several ways, but I've already taken enough time, so I'll pass the ball to Julio and shut up for a minute.
Wow, this is wonderful. Before
Awesome.
Julio comes back again, first of all, it's very beautiful, this charitable work that you do. It's so important, and it's a way for us to understand a little bit. It's very, very common, as you mentioned, that when we are elderly, or you don't even need to be old, if you are very sick, if your physical body is debilitated, it's let's think like this. We are in this way here, so we are healthy. When we start going down, we start getting very weak. So we start it's almost like we start disconnecting little by little from our physical body. It's almost like when we are in that transition time, when we are sleeping or not sleeping yet, but you close your eyes, you're like a little drowsy. So in that moment that you are sleeping or awake, that's also when the spirits, they communicate with us, because it's easier for us to see what is not. When you are fully awake and you are not a ostensive medium, you don't see. But when we are kind of sleeping, or when we are really sleeping, then the connection is easier. And it's very common to when we are sick to start saying this. And I have many friends that the parents had Alzheimer, and they all said, my mother never more said anything that really make sense. But a few weeks prior her passage, she was talking to me like she knew who I am, and she started saying, oh, I saw my mother yesterday. She came to visit. And my friend said, she recognized me. She knew I was her daughter, and she told me that my grandmother was there. And one, she is a spiritist. She understood, and the other, she doesn't believe in anything, and she's like, my mother with Alzheimer's is getting even crazier now. And then I was like, no, your mother's not getting crazy. She's actually coming back, and she's making sense. But because my friend don't really believing in spirituality, don't really understand, it's kind of for her to wake up in the other side is something a little bit strange. She's almost like, in her mind, it's almost like we die and there is the nothingness. And it's like it's sad to think that everything we lived, all our loved ones, and then God created us just for 100 years. That's it. It's like, doesn't make sense for me. But anyway, that's what she thinks. And then a very, very interesting one that you mentioned this, because this is true. Another wonderful thing that you also mentioned is that Spiritism helps us to not be afraid, because we know we are going to wake up, and we know we are going to meet the ones we love that went before us. There is a lot of literature, Spiritist literature, talking about it, and also teaches us that we wake up in the way we live here. That's why we try to be good people. We try to improve, because we know that when we are a little bit better, we will wake up in a little bit better situation. So let me just see here the comments. So we have here, I think this is River. So Juan, Julio, Julinho, good to see you guys with Angie. And we have it. Oh, that's a River saying, Yvonne, you disappeared, girl. You see, Yvonne, we miss you. And River, I miss you too. Happy to see Julio. Very good. And Tatiana, hi Tatiana, nice to have you here. I believe that I had an experience like that after surgery. Yes, Tatiana, it's very common also when we have, you know, very, very strong cases like near-death experience, but not even near-death experience, like a surgery that you go under anesthesia and lots of things happens and you think you are dreaming and you could have been having an encounter, a spiritual encounter. So, Julio, before I talk much more, go ahead. What else you wanna talk about? Maybe we should start from the beginning. We should because a lot of people are not spiritists. People are going to listen to us and they don't even understand how the physical body gets connected to the spirit. You know, people will say you wake up and how your spirit. Let's talk about the reincarnation. How a spirit comes back to earth. It comes back, yes, through the sexual encounter, the mother and father. This is science, we know. But we could talk a little bit like the connection from the spirit to the physical body. What how does it happen? What happened there? I don't know if I'm making you confused, but
Yes. No, no,
about the
understood.
silver
Under,
cord, so things that we
I,
can talk.
I understood your question, and I will try to explain in English because in Portuguese is easier for me. Let me try to explain. One thing that I think is important that sometimes we think that the real life is our material life, is the life that we are going on right now. But in fact, the real life is in the spiritual realm. And in the material life is the one that we are living in this moment. It's just a school. It's just a place that we need to go to learn lessons. And we are here to develop, not to enjoy the life. Of course that we can enjoy our lives, but the real goal of our experience here is to evolve. So, and what happens when we are in the spiritual world and we plan before how will be our lives, the challenges that we are be going, and the difficulties, the family that we will have, everything we planned before. And when the time comes, yes, there are three things that we need to know. We have a spirit, we have our perispirit, and we have the material body. And these entities are totally different. Yes. Just to not be talking for a long time, the perispirit is the part of us that connects our soul with our material body. And when we go in the process of the birth, little after the spermatozoids, I think, and the egg, uh, 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 they uh, they go together. Yes, there are processes in the spiritual life that start to connect our perispirit with this little egg, this little body that start to form, and little by little we start to connect our soul using our perispirit with this material body. This process, I believe, is more painful than the death. Yes, this process to become birth. We feel afraid about the death, but to born, I think that the process is much more complicated. Yes. Then, just to summarize, after some times, our perispirit connect us in our material body, and the lives go on. We have our challenge and blah blah blah. And when our life finish, is the moment that we need to disconnect. Our perispirit needs to disconnect. This process to disconnect is something that it can be more or less difficult. I will not say painful, can be more or less difficult depending about our knowledge and also how connected we are with the material world. I don't know if I can go. I can
No,
go and
it's,
talk and talk and talk, but
it's
I think
very,
that
very good. It's very good for everybody to understand a little bit. Just to make one little correction.
uh-huh.
When we are in the spiritual world, we actually say spirit. We say
Exactly.
soul when we are already incarnated. We are already living. So it's the spirit connecting to the little cell. You are correct. So exactly like Julio said. So the process of connection in spiritism is still in the first weeks, in the first days. The egg penetrated the spermatozoid penetrated the egg, and it created that little life. The spirits connect right there, and then the little body start forming, but the spirit is already connected, already existing there. And as Julio also mentioned, we are in the spiritual realm, and we pass by this process that's of shrinking our perispirit to become a little baby. And it's almost like you go to sleep. There are many books that describe, that gives you more details. We don't have time to talk
Exactly.
about it, but there are many books in spiritism that explains. If you can read the book called Nosso Lar, Astral City, the book talks about it. The movie gives you just a little glimpse, but the book gives you more details. So yes, this is really good. And as Julio said, when we are incarnated, we have the physical body, the soul, because we are incarnated, and we have the perispirit. That's this connection that keeps the shape of our body. It's almost like the soul is just light. Then we have the physical body, and the perispirit is the copy of our physical body. So when the physical body disappears, our light will keep the shape of the body because of the perispirit. So Juan, can you talk a little bit about the silver cord? Can you explain to them what is it and what does it do to us? Nah, don't worry if you don't know
Well,
it. This
no, I
yeah.
just wanted to add before I get something to what Julio was saying. Um, the separation of the soul from the body occurs based on what I know and what I read in chapter, easier or harder, depending on the soul and the person. If the person is someone that has been a good, someone that has, not done anything that person can be ashamed of, that separation will be a lot easier than it would for someone that was focused on the material and has not lived a life that was good. So easy or tough depends on the kind of life you have lived. So I think that's one of the lessons we should take from this chapter. We're
Exactly.
still alive, all of us. Some of us, probably less than others, but we still have time to make amends, time to reason and to think that if for nothing at all, is just be good because you're going to make it easier for yourself when your life terminates on this earth. Okay. It is easy when you've been a good person, and if there's a time when you're aware of the fact that you're going to die, and we actually then going back to the patients in hospice, a long period of time to think. So for them, it comes, I think, a little easier, and the book mentions that, when there's infirmity, when there's, and that comes, the separation of the soul from that body is hard, because there's been a long time to take place for the soul to separate itself from the, whereas in an accident, somebody's driving down the road and hits somebody else and it dies. That soul was not prepared to leave the body. So that is going to take a long to digest and to go through the emotions, and that's also in the book, and when it talks about easy versus ways of exiting Earth. And again, the main course I wrote here on my notes, behind the greater or lesser difficulty, soul's moral state. That I don't think we can emphasize enough the fact that a good person will probably help you ease your way out of this world, as opposed to if you're not such a good person, you'll probably have a little bit of difficulty in doing it painlessly.
Yes, this is correct. I'm
Okay.
just reading here. Tatiana, send us a message. Tell us a little bit about your experience. Why did you say that? What did you experience that you think was a connection with spirits during your surgery? Let's hear from you. And hello, Adilson. Very nice to have you here with us. Great to have you here. So yes, Julio, this is totally true, and it's a good message of hope that if we are listening to this and we are curious about what happened in the other side, we can take action right now. We can start changing. We know we don't change from water to wine, but we can be a grape juice, so we can start improving our behavior, trying to be a better person. And as I say, even if it's not natural from you, you can impose in yourself to be a little bit better, just because you know whatever you did of good here will count in terms of points, in terms of good connections, good vibrations, to help you to wake up in the other side, to help you to have the connection with your loved ones. And as you both mentioned, when we are very materialistic, when we think too much about money, when we think about what can I buy, or when we just think about pleasures in life, we live without thinking in the tomorrow. Doesn't have a sentence in America that's like this: let's live today like there is no tomorrow. Well, yeah, in certain ways, because usually when people say that, it means they want to do all the excesses they can, because tomorrow they might not be able to do it. So it's not the best way, because when you're doing these excesses, all kinds of problems can happen. So maybe you're going to abuse of alcohol, drugs, or you're going to have sex without really thinking of tomorrow, and you can impregnate someone, or someone can get pregnant, and the consequences of all our acts, they will appear sooner or later, and we have to be careful with this. So there are many things to help us to improve in the other side, and Spiritism help us to really focus in our moral point of view, understanding that we can improve a lot. And for example, the example who I mentioned, visiting the elderly, that they have like a period of time, because the medical science already mentioned they can't do much for them anymore. Basically, it's just keeping them alive without pain, just giving medication to help. Sometimes not even medication, sometimes just morphine. I visited some of these places when I was in New York. like for example, me and Julio and many people in the Inner Light and Volunteers of Love, we are going to places in Miami and we are preparing meals for the homeless. So when we do that, this is a volunteer activity, but this is also a wake-up call because a lot of people are not used to that. And they see the struggle of people. They see the people need to go to a place like that to get a food, a plate to eat, because they are having a very, very hard time to survive. And sometimes we see entire families, sometimes we see mothers and kids, and it's very difficult, it's very painful. So it's good for us to see it. It's good for us to bring our kids to volunteer as well, so they can see a reality they might not be fully aware, and then helps us to start understanding and to start working more towards helping others, and we end up helping ourselves too. So what else do you guys wanna talk about? I know we have a few like 2 minutes. There is anything that you want to summarize before we go to the second book? Anything that it's important for them to understand the passage?
Okay, of course there are a lot of things to talk, and I know that we needed to summarize here. I think that many people, even me sometimes, I feel a little afraid about the death, because I think that, oh, this is maybe something that I will feel some pain. This is painful. How will be? Yes. And it's interesting because in the Spiritist book, in the question 154, talks exactly about the. Oh, let me go there. Talks about the separation of the soul from the body. Yeah, and the question is the separation of the soul from the body a painful process? And the answer is no. Frequently, the body suffers more during life than in the moment of death. The soul itself feels nothing at death. The suffering that is sometimes experienced at the moment of death is pleasure for the spirit, for it sees that the end of the exile is at hand. So what this means, we don't need to feel afraid about death, because about the pain, because in our life probably we will feel more pain than in the moment of our death. Yes, this is, I think, is a important message. Though you don't need to feel afraid about pain. And just to finish, one thing about the because some spirit says that we can have some kind of suffering, but not pain, in the moment of the death. But this suffering, in my point of view, yes, imagine that we are in a party, enjoying a party, and the party for us is awesome. And in some moment, in the end, someone comes and say, "Oh, you need to leave." If you are super connected with this party, you don't accept to go. This is the problem. When we say about the materialistic behavior, is because sometimes we are so attached or connected with a material way of life. I'm not telling that this is bad. Of course, many people say, "No, this is bad." I don't know. That's my opinion. I don't know. I just telling that, in my opinion, that we have it difficult to disconnect because we are, enjoying. Sometimes not enjoy. Sometimes we are connected by hate or by love. There are many things of connection, but these make us suffering when, in the moment, okay, the party is over, because we don't accept it. And while we don't go on, we stay connected with our body because we want to stay. This is the reason that sometimes some spirits suffer in the moment of the death, because they don't accept to leave. So this is my point of view.
Very good. Very good. Juan, do you want to add anything?
Not really. I think that we've covered just about all the main point of the chapter. We are just repeating things over and over again. I think that we are very lucky as a spirit that they have all this knowledge available to sure ourselves and here for our bodies and also disengage at the proper time.
Yes, no, it is true. I have a funny story. I already told this story in the Spiritist Center, but it's pretty much connected to it. So a friend of mine, he was a Spiritist. Actually, he was a friend of my mother. I knew him. I was very, very young. I was a teenager. And then he was super fun person. My mother had a store, and he was one of the clients. And he lived very close to the store. He used to go there a lot. And then one day he was telling my mother asked him, "What happened? There are a few months that you don't appear." We were like really not knowing how to contact you. We didn't have your phone, so now you're gonna leave your phone here. And then he told her the story that he got in some kind of accident and he had to be put in a induced coma. So he went in a very serious situation. So he went in coma and he stayed like a week. And then when they were able to treat him, they removed him from coma. He started waking up. And, you know, if you have ever done a surgery and you have general anesthesia, you know, waking up is not just like a princess. It's a little strange. I have done this few times. And he said he was start waking up like in that strange way. And he opened his eyes. He was in this room that's all white. And then he saw a nurse dressed in white. And he was a spiritist. He did not remember he had to go to a hospital. It was almost like something happened. They took him, and he woke up like this. So he woke up and he saw the nurse. He called her, and she came, and he asked her, "Nurse, can you please tell me in which realm I am at this moment?" And she looked at him like, "Realm? What are you talking about?" And she said, and he said, "Are we in the spiritual realm by any chance?" And it was like, just trying to let her know that don't lie to me because I know it. Because, you know, a lot of people die and they wake up in the other side and they don't even know they are dead. They think they're still living. So he wanted to show her that he was a spiritist. And if I am waking up in the spirit realm, tell me because I know. So she looked at him and she said, "I don't really know what is this spiritual realm thing that you're talking about, but you are in a hospital in the neighborhood of Andaraí, Rio de Janeiro." And he was like, "Really?" And he was telling us this story, and it was so funny. We were laughing so much because me and my mother in that time, we were not spiritists, and we didn't really know much about spirituality. So when he told this story, for us it was funny because we're like, it's really like this. You wake up in a hospital. We were still with that mentality, you know, that you're a good person, so you're gonna wake up with the angels and the clouds and the little cherubims playing violin. That was like more or less what we thought before I knew spiritism. So when he told that was hilarious. We were laughing, and then he was explaining a little bit about it. Okay, few months passed and he died. And then I remember me and my mother, we were like shocked because he was so young. But then I remember, well, so now he really woke up in the other side, and he probably asked, "Are we in Andaraí, Rio de Janeiro?" And she said, "We're in the spiritual realm." So that's probably what happened. But he was such an amazing soul, such a funny person, and he knew so much about spirituality that this is another thing that helps us when we are already used to that. We have that knowledge, that understanding. it's easier to adapt in the spiritual realm. That's the thing. So super cool. I love this book and the parts that we are starting. And now we are starting the other book, but the other book is pretty much connected. Yes? What do you want to say, Juan?
Before we go, I think that I was going to say that before we go, I think that we should mention that Kardec book tells us that prayer for those who die help the departing spirits out of its bewilderment, or in a suffering spirit, it can produce repentance to shorten the suffering. I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was important.
That's great. That's very good. The as you mentioned, the end of the gospel is great because people that say, "Oh, I don't know how to pray," Kardec gave us examples of so many different prayers, so beautiful, and we can use those examples until we get from our heart. And it's very, very beautiful. Thank you so much, Juan. So this book that we are reading is What is Spiritism? It's like a little summary of many things that deal with Spiritism. And in this portion that we are going to read tonight is about mediumship. So it's talking about the communication with the invisible world. So the invisible world, the spirits, and the communication is done through mediums who are ostensive. Like we can say that we are all mediums in certain ways, but ostensive mediums are the ones who actually can see, hear, feel, can write. So we have very few minutes. So I did a little summary and I highlighted in yellow just for us to have a glimpse of what it is. So I will ask Juan to read I'm going to move some items in yellow, and then Julio, you can comment a little bit. Juan can also comment. So we can just do a summary of what is this communication with spirit. So can you read one?
Sure. Are communications between souls impossible? The exchange between the visible and invisible worlds has been established as a fact. The state of the soul after death, the soul is usually imagined to be a breath, something that evaporates and goes off, to that it is hard to understand how it could return to the earth.
So these are little glimpses just for us to understand what is the soul and how it communicates. So let's read also 24.
Okay. The visible world lives in the visible world, and there are spirits that have the ability to manifest themselves. It was in the designs of evidence to put an end to belief in materialism by means of obvious proofs in those who have left behind and attest to their existence, and to reveal their happy or unhappy condition to us. The communications between the visible and invisible world, the spirits act upon humans secretively through the thoughts they suggest to them and through certain influences. The spontaneous manifestations occur unexpectedly and fortuitously. Quite often, they occur to persons unfamiliar with the Spiritist ideas. Consequently, they attribute them to supernatural causes. Manifestations that are induced occur by means of certain individuals endowed with special faculties for produce such effects, and who are designed by the name mediums.
Very good. So let's comment about this. Let me remove the book for a little bit. So what did we understand about the invisible world, and why do we say in Spiritism that it's proven already, like Kardec just mentioned, the communication with the dead is a fact? Why can we say that?
Oh, I think that the book tells us everything. But what happens? The spiritual and the material realms are totally connected, and so for people like me, that is not a medium, I can't see, but for sure there are many spirits around me, around Angy and Juan and everybody. There are some, I will not say special. There are some people that there are ability, they have ability to in different ways to do this communication with the spiritual realm. Yes, when I say different ways, because some can see, some can hear, some can feel the smell. There are different ways. But the one important thing for the ones that is not a spiritist, that are here just for curiosity, that these people that we give it for them the name of mediums, they are not special. When I say special, they do not exist just in Spiritist philosophy. This communication between us and the spiritual realm happens in all religions, but in other religions they understand in a different way, not in the same way that we understand. They think that they are angels talking, the voice of God. They don't realize that in the end it's just spirits that are communicated with us. And spirit is just us disincarnated. It's the same thing. It's not special beings, nothing. This is what I have to say.
No, yes, very good. Juan, do you want to add anything or can we continue?
Well, no, I just I agree with everything that Julio mentioned, and that in Spiritism, the attitude that you have is you open the door. Your door's open to communicate. Whereas in other religions, because of fear or other reasons, trying to shut the door, you don't even want to think about it. And if it happens, you run away because it's probably the devil at you. Whereas in Spiritism, we're open. We know that spirits will communicate with us. To be alert to, who wants to communicate with us and why. And I think that a lot of us are just happy to let people, Angy, mediums, and facilitate everything. We don't get in trouble.
Yeah, yes. Okay, I am a medium, but people always think, oh, to be a medium, it's so good. You can see your family members, you can see how they are. And it's not exactly like this. I spent many, many, many years not seeing one family member, just seeing spirits in trouble, spirits that needed help, spirits that were not very good, and I had to do my portion of exercise, spiritual exercise, to help them. And when I help them, I help myself, because they kind of go in treatment and disconnected from me. So to be a medium is really a challenge. So yes, but if you're doing well, it's wonderful, because a few years ago I was able to see my father-in-law that I love like my own father. So to me, this was a beautiful blessing. So let's just finalize the book. Julio, could you read the yellow portions this time?
28?
Yes.
Okay. Although invisible to us in its normal state, the perispirit is ethereal matter, nonetheless. In certain cases, the spirit can undergo a sort of molecular modification that renders it visible and even tangible. This is how apparitions are produced. Spirits can be recognized. Isolated apparitions are quite frequent, especially at the time of death. The The liberated spirit seems to be in a rush to see its relatives and friends again. Formerly, such incident would have been considered supernatural and extraordinary, and attributed to magic and sorcery. Today, disbelievers attribute them to imagination. Spirit science know how they are produced, and they are not outside the order of natural phenomena. It was it was with the help of its perispirit that the spirit manifests itself by acting upon inert matter, producing noises and moving tables and other objects. It's also with the help of its perispirit that the spirits enables a medium to write, speak, or draw.
Very good, very good. So what can we talk about? Can we talk about this one? We can start talking about this because it's important. People see, oh, I only can see a spirit if I'm a medium. But as Julio just read, it's not necessary because there are occasions that the spirits can it takes a lot of energy from them, but they can kind of materialize themselves so anyone can see it. And this, in the past was just like oh, this is a sorcery, this is some kind of witches producing this. Nowadays people say more like, oh, forget about it. This is your imagination. Some people say, oh no, you probably were drunk. I have another beautiful story to talk about this too. So whatever you guys would like to mention this, then I can tell the story.
No, just one comment. I think people misunderstand mediums. I think mediums are chosen. You don't elect to be a medium. It's not you would like to be a medium or you're a medium. You have to have the ability to be able to receive, and for that it's not a question of whether or not you want to do that job. And that's very much misunderstood by non-spiritists. Anybody can just elect like being a priest, in Catholicism. And then you put the stuff in and you're there. Mediums are not like that. So that's just the only comment.
Yes, and so yes, the mediums, they have different characteristics. Some mediums can't even see spirits. They can just feel the sensation. Others can just listen. They listen voices. Others just write messages. And there are mediums like Chico Xavier that was extremely powerful medium that had every single type of mediumship you imagine he had, and he was able to do all this. It was so powerful that he reached to people and say, oh, my daughter, sorry to ask you, but can you tell me if you are incarnated or discarnated? And it's very funny because people are like, what? How can he really see it so strongly that he doesn't even know the person is living or dead? And Divaldo Franco is still alive in Brazil. He has a similar mediumship, not as strong as Chico Xavier, but he also has a very powerful mediumship. And he mentioned that in the beginning, when he was very young, working in a big company, in a public entity, he used to go to the balcony of the place to attend, to help the customers. And then he was talking to the customers like he's talking to a client. And everybody around keeps looking at him, and he's talking to no one. And then he comes with the request from the person, and he's going to search for the paper. And the people ask him, Divaldo, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm just attending the client. There is nobody there. And he looked, and he sees the people. And then everybody else is like, So it's very funny. If you had an opportunity to read his book or to see the movie about his life, there is the beautiful scene that depicts this story. And one of his co-workers told him, Givaldo, I like you very much. If you really see people, every time you go to the balcony, you look at me and I will say yes if I see, and I will say no if I don't see. And that's how he started going without being called schizophrenic by his own boss. My story about what we read, and that the spirits, they can manifest to us, and they are in a hurry to show up to as many people as they can when they just die. It's because we just die, our silver cord is being cut. It doesn't cut like boof immediately, but it goes little by little. We start the disconnection process. And so during that period that you're really like transitioning in and out, the spirits almost receive an advice. You have few minutes, go to visit your loved ones. And during this time, happened to me that my aunt, I was in my kitchen washing dishes, and then I heard the voice of my aunt telling me, my dear, your home is beautiful. I'm so happy that I am here. I wish I could have come before. And I heard that. And I recognized her voice. I knew who she was. And she was extremely sick in a hospital in Brazil. So when I didn't see her, I only heard. So I'm like, wow. And I said, Aunt, you are here. And she said, yes, I'm so happy. So happy. Love you. And it was really great. And boom, immediately I felt that she was gone. She disconnected. And then I was like, that's so funny. I'm like, that's so funny. I know she is very, very sick, but I'm like, it is possible for us to visit others while we are still living. And I am a medium, so I thought maybe I was able to catch her spirit. But a part of me was also thinking she might have died. I don't know. Okay, good. I went to sleep, and when it was like this was like 10 p.m., 9 p.m. When it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, my father calls me crying, and he had received the news that his sister had died. So I told him, I know. And of course, I didn't give him the details at that moment because he was going through so many emotions. But later on, I told him she had come to visit me, and I was thinking how she is here. Is she alive or not? But so this is just an example that when we die, we usually visit the ones that we care, the ones we wanted to send a little message. There are many stories about this on YouTube. You can just Google. There are people that even receive phone calls, email. And I know it's funny. People say, it's crazy. But no, there are stories of people that receive phone calls in their home phones, and they pick up, and it's the loved one saying, oh, I love you so much. I just would like to tell you I love you. Things like that. And then they find out the person died at that moment. So very, very interesting. Food for thought for the people that don't believe. So just to close, let me read the comment from Yvonne. Yvonne said, while we might not be ostensive mediums, then we go to sleep, our souls detach, and we meet other souls, spirits in the spiritual world. Exactly, Yvonne. Very, very good. We can always meet the spirits while we are sleeping. What happened is that many times we don't remember our dreams. But if we could remember every single dream, then we remember what happened to us. And we all can remember our dreams, and Julio knows that. And I always told him, you can remember your dream. Just ask your guardian angel to remember. And most of the time, they allow us to remember. So very interesting. Julio, next time I'm going to ask you to talk about your dream story.
Oh, I want to forget.
Very good. Let me read another comment here. That's a Gilson. A Gilson said, fortunately, we have help from the invisible world, give us advice by intuit or intuition, sharing their mistakes and the suffering that they already have been through. They make us the same way we do with our children. Exactly, Gilson. Very, very good. That's it. This is what we will be doing in this book that we are going to start next month. We are going to be studying the examples the spirits give to us, they gave to us through the mediumship of Chico Xavier. In this book were many mediums that Kardec used, and they will tell us, I was a robber, I was a murderer, and then I woke up in this situation. I was a priest and I lived to charity and I woke up in this situation. So it will be good for us because we will learn with them. So thank you so much. This is really, really good. Adil, so I hope to see you more often here. Visit our website, Mia Inner Light. You can participate of our Tuesday classes online. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Talk to me and I send you the link. Okay? Very good, my friends. We are out of time. I want to say thank you so much to Julio and Juan. It was wonderful. Thank you so much to all of you that participated with us, with your comments. It was really, really good. And thank you so much to all of you that will be listening to the recording version. And we will be back here next month in the first Thursday of the month. So we are going to finalize now, and I would like to ask you, Julio, to do our prayer. Could you do it?
Are you sure?
Yes, okay. A short prayer. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Let's elevate our thoughts. Dear God, Mother and Father, thank you again for the opportunity to be here, to study, to share knowledge, to share our what we learned this night. And I would like to say thank you, not just for you, my Father, but also for our spiritual friends that are with us all the time. And I would like to also ask your protection for us, for our friends, for our family. And I hope that we can have a good week. So be it.
So be it. Very good. Thank you so much, you all. It was wonderful. Thanks for the participation. And I hope to see you all next month again here in Kardec Radio for Mia Inner Light. Thank you, my friends. Thank you, Julio. Thank you, Juan. Thank you, everybody. It's awesome. Have a good night. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.